Excuse me, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Each action that you take has an effect on everyone else, big or small. Have you found that out for yourself, or?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I teach a class called Science, Spirituality and Health. And one of the things that we cover is things like kindness and how kindness affects other people. And just this week we had a great example. One of the students actually said about something that he had done for someone and how that had far-reaching effects. And sometimes when we're really nice to people, we never see the end of our effects because they affect people in so many ways in like that ripple effect. And exactly during the near-death experience as well, this is actually kind of deeply understood during the near-death experience because very often they can see the impact of their actions on other people. And it does have very far-reaching consequences.
Okay. So what is the main lesson that you've learned from all your research?
I think for me, the main lesson is what these experiences can teach us for this life. When I started doing my research, I thought I was going to find out everything about death. But in fact, what it's taught me is more about this life. So I think when we start to think about death and contemplate our own mortality, that's when we really start to learn about life. And for me, what it's taught me is to live in the moment and not worry about silly things. It's about making the most of what we have, appreciating everything that we do have in our life. You know, sometimes we kind of live in this world where we're not considered to be successful unless we've got lots of money and lots of social status and things like that. But things like that are not important. You know, when you realise these things, I think they give more meaning to what your life is now. And that is what's most important to me, the simple things in life that don't cost money. And it's about being in the moment and enjoying your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what are some things people have said about Source or God or all that is?
Well, when they're in this state, it's like all of a sudden everything, all parts of themselves, their whole ego kind of disappears and disintegrates. And they dissociate from their body. It's as if their body is not there. The real them is this eternal state of awareness, and it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's just full of love. And that's how people describe this experience. Sometimes it's so powerful to these people that it's beyond words. There's no other human experience that is comparable with this experience, and it's just this almost like a total peak experience of just feelings of bliss, peace, joy, and unconditional love.
Why do some people experience negative events when they pass away?
Now that's interesting because we're really not sure of that at this moment in time. There has been some research done, but some people do have quite unpleasant experiences. And from my research and my experience of working as a nurse, it may be that it's related to the state of mind of the person as they're passing over. Now, sometimes patients I've come across have had lots of unfinished business, things that they never really saw to in this life. And as they're dying, sometimes they can become very anxious about it and very agitated. So sometimes they would like to make amends with maybe an estranged family member, but they haven't had the opportunity to do it. And sometimes that can play on their mind. And sometimes it's that anxiety of having not done these things that maybe can influence whether the experience is a pleasant one or quite a negative one for them.
Okay, thank you so much for all that information, Doctor. Can you please let us know where we can find you, because I'm sure a lot of listeners are now wanting more. So can you give us a website, and also can you share with us what recent or current projects you're working on? Yes, my website is drpennysatori.com. I've also got a blog, which is a drpennysatori.wordpress.com. And also what I've recently found is that
since my book came out in February, I've had people emailing me every single day, and I've had a huge amount of emails, probably about 200 a day. I'm finding it very difficult to keep on top of them all, and but I will reply because I'm very interested to hear people's experiences. I've currently got a big backlog, but please contact me and get in touch with me. And consequently, because I've uncovered so many fascinating cases, what I'd like to do now is do further research into these experiences. What I found is that some people, after an experience, get changes in their electromagnetic field. And
Really?
Yeah, they get problems with electrical items and lights and all sorts of things. And that is something that really fascinates me. So I'd like to do more research into this. So I'm currently applying for research funding. So if there's anyone out there who has had these experiences, I welcome all the emails that I get.
Please share some stories with us.
Right. There's so many of them. There's a few that feature in my book. There's one in particular that really stood out for me because of the after effects. Now, the after effects of these experiences are phenomenal in some cases. And there was one lady, and I call her Sally. She features in the book. And she had a very bad head injury. She was an amateur athlete, and she was actually cycling. And she had this really bad accident, and she landed on her head. She ended up in the intensive care unit, and she wasn't expected to survive because of the extent of her injury. So the doctor sat down with her husband, and he explained, it's unlikely that your wife will survive, but if she does survive, she'll have to learn to walk again because of the extent of her injury, and she'll probably be in a wheelchair. So anyway, this lady, while she was deeply unconscious, remembers having a near-death experience. And part of this experience was where she was existing in another realm, and she could hear this, or she felt this presence with her. And there was a voice, and the voice said, you have a choice. You can stay here, or you could go back. But if you choose to go back, you will be stronger. Now, she doesn't remember making a conscious choice to go back, but she remembers waking up in a strange room with all these people around her bed. And they were her family, but she didn't recognize them. And then she had to learn to recognize her family again. And indeed, she did make a recovery. And what I find is very interesting is that she actually, a month after being discharged from the hospital, she ran a 10-kilometre race. But not only that, she went on to become an ultra-distance runner. And she's been in the Guinness Book of Records 3 times. And her greatest achievement is running across Australia from Sydney to Melbourne, which is 625 miles. And she ran that in 8 days without any sleep. And
Wow.
It's amazing. That I think that is phenomenal, you know. It is. And she said, you know, the thing that kept her going was that voice that's always with her. All she has to do is close her eyes and tune into that voice, and it's with her constantly. And that's what keeps her going. So that's a really great case, I think.
That is awesome. Dr. Penny, can you please share the name of your book one more time so that the listeners know where to buy it and the name that we should be looking for?
Yep, the book is called The Wisdom of Near-Death Experiences, How Understanding NDEs Can Help Us to Live More Fully. And this is what it looks like. And it's published by Watkins Books, Watkins Publishing in the UK.
Okay.
Perfect, Doctor.
And we can find that on Amazon.
Yeah, that's available on Amazon, yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for being on You Are Creators, really. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
This is Justin and Erica from You Are Creators, and we support your dreams.